you, Alexei, for this kind of introduction. Thanks to the organizers for hosting this very interesting workshop. And thank you all for being here. So the presentations, my presentation and David's presentation, is going to come right after this, are related. So we decided to maybe have the Q&A together. So if you have questions, please make notes, and we try to answer the questions together after the two presentations. So as you can see, I'm with the Deutsches Filminstitut in Frankfurt, which is one of the largest film heritage institutions in Germany. It's basically all under one or two roofs in Frankfurt and Wiesbaden. So it's a film archive. We also have non-film archival collections. We have a film museum. We do film educational programs, and we also have two festivals that we are organizing. One is Lucas. It's a children's film festival. The other is called Go East, and it's a festival on Central and Eastern European cinema. So if you're in Frankfurt in April next year, you might want to check that out. So it's very interesting. And we're also involved in digital projects. That's why I mostly work in. So I work for Filmportal.de, which is the leading non-commercial platform on all aspects of German cinema. But I've also worked for the European Film Gateway, which is a huge collection of archival films from all over Europe. And I'm also coordinating the iMedia Cities project that I'm going to talk about in the next couple of minutes. So I'm coordinating the Frankfurt part to that. So iMedia Cities is a European project, and it deals with the filmic history of European cities. And you might ask yourself what film and cities have in common, why there is a connection, and I try to give you an answer to that in my first slides. So I think the connection is kind of logical, because cities have always been at the center of film history, just because it's where film was invented. Well, we don't have to get into where exactly that was, whether Berlin or Lyon or Paris or the New York, New Jersey metro area, but definitely in the city. It's also where the first screenings took place before films went on the road. It's where the first studios were established in cities or on the outskirts of cities, usually. And of course, it's where film always found its largest audiences. And what's more, cities themselves have always been a very popular subject of film from the early years. So as if you consider cities as sites of modernity and film as the paradigmatic medium of modernity, then the connection becomes clear. So filmmakers have always been interested in what's going on in cities, so in architecture, in construction, in the new ways of transportation, getting around, in traffic and infrastructure, and of course in the life of the people who live in the cities, and in what they do in their everyday life, what they do in their leisure time, their free time, which is also a new phenomenon, and at the time film comes around. And this all culminates in a way in a microgenre, I would say, which are called the city symphonies. You might have heard of films like this one, Rien que les heures, by Alberto Cavalcanti, where he basically dedicates his entire film to the life of ordinary people in the city of Paris in 1926. Or there is Berlin, die Sinfonie der Großstadt by Walter Ruttmann. It's a celebration of the hustle and bustle life in Berlin in the Roaring '20s. And there's also, of course, Dziga Vertov's Человек z киноаппаратом, which is basically, he uses the techniques and the style of film, the editing techniques, to fuse several cities. I think it's Odessa, Kiev, Kharkiv, so Ukrainian cities, in Moscow, and to turn it into a tale of the city and the socialist city in general. So while these films are pretty well researched, well known, very popular also, there's lots of more films in European film archives on cities, and much of this material is still not available to a larger audience, to the grand public, and there is no central access point to see these films. So they're basically slumbering in the archives, and most of this content has never been really systemized. So it's also hard to do research on these films, and we can still learn a lot from the films that are still slumbering in the archives, and that's basically where iMedia Cities, our project, comes in. As I said, it's a European project. It's funded through the European Horizon 2020 program, entirely funded. It started in spring 2016, and it runs through until next year, spring 2019. It's a collaboration between lots of partners. So you see we got 9 film archives from different cities you can see on the map. Most of these archives from the cities also have research partners, and we also have 2 technological providers on board and a specialist in digital business models. So this is the consortium. As I said, it's pretty big. It's coordinated in Brussels at the Cinémathèque Royale de Belgique. That's where Davy works at. But there's lots of other partners. So maybe I can show it. Is this working? Yes. So from Athens, it's the Greek Film Archive and the National Kapodistrian University of Athens. Then we have from Bologna, from Catalonia, it's Filmoteca Catalunya and the University of Barcelona. There is the Cineteca in Bologna. There's applied films from Bologna, and they work together with the Istituto per i Beni Artistici Culturali Naturali. I hope I got this right. There is, so I'll go through the archives first maybe. This is my institution, German Film Institute, Film Museum. There is the Danish Film Institute. We have Stockholm on board, Svenska Filminstitutet, and the university. We have the Museo Nazionale del Cinema in Torino, and they work together with the Urban Center also in Torino. And we have the Austrian Film Museum in Vienna. They cooperate with the Ludwig Boltzmann Institute for History and Society. And then we have the technical partners. Technical partners are Cineca. It's a university consortium. They're basically building the platform, doing the technical work on the platform itself. And there's Fraunhofer Institute for Digital Media Technologies from Germany. They have created automatic analysis tools which are very interesting. I think you're going to hear more about that from Davy. I'll just mention it briefly, short in my presentation. And last but not least, it's EMAC from Belgium. They are the digital business model specialist. So what are the goals of iMedia Cities? Well, first and foremost, we try to bring technological innovation to the cultural heritage sector by creating this large platform, which is supposed to be cross-border and also cross-language, so everyone from Europe can really use this in their respective language, at least from the countries that are involved at this point, and we always try to have English translations for all the metadata we use. And we want to provide free access to the films that are dispersed over the archives and not really accessible. So, and of course we want to have this as want to reach out to the largest audience possible. So we want to create an open platform for all interested citizens, but we also will feature a closed environment for research on the platform. So this pertains to, on one side, maybe copyright issues, but also it enables the researchers with much more features to annotate and analyze and share the work on the platform. So this is going to be the closed part. As I just briefly mentioned while talking about Fraunhofer, we want to tap the potential of automatic video analysis and annotation. It's really very interesting part, and I don't think it has been done on the scale of this size in a cultural project yet. And we want to make use of linked open data and LED services. I think that's also something that Davey's going to talk about in the next presentation. And we want to use different visualizations for the results on the platforms that help to involve audiences and of course share their findings. So I just put together a couple of target audiences that we have. First and foremost, social science researchers, historians, architects, and so on. But also media and IT professionals, teachers and students to reach large audiences. And we also think it might be useful for city tour guides to have the platform as background information and to enrich the tourist guide experience. Press and news agencies also, and of course we want to address archives and film heritage institutions. So, what do we need for this platform? Of course, we need a digital repository, a very large one for all the films, and one for metadata. We need a metadata model to handle the different types of metadata, because there's going to be, there already is metadata coming from descriptive and filmographic metadata coming from the archives, but also the automatic tools, they got to produce metadata, and researchers and users are also going to create metadata, and we need a model that has been done by my colleagues at the Deutsches Filminstitut to handle all this different type of metadata. Well, we're going to employ these tools, as I said, and we need interfaces that bring all this content in very accessible ways to our different audiences. Also, to involve these audiences more, we need tools for interaction, annotation, tagging, and so on. And as I said before, we're going to have at least these two environments: one for the general public and one for researchers. This is just a quick look at the technical setup of the platform. So you have the front end, and that's what the users are gonna work with, and then you have the back end down here. I think the layer is missing. This is the business layer. So where all the information is ingested. Down here you see the information generated by the Fraunhofer tools. And this all has to be handled by the metadata repository. Some words on the content that is planned for the platform. So we strive to have more than 1,500 films and 20,000 photographs, and it's going to span a range from the 19th century to the 20th. Most of the films are going to be documentary or amateur films, some city advertisement films and newsreels. I think Torino also has some feature films, but this is really just a minority of films, especially due to copyright reasons. And the topics and themes of the films they vary from city to city. So this is an example from what Frankfurt is going to supply, or we're supplying right now. It's just we focus in a photographic collection on the history of Frankfurt movie theaters. So I have a couple of examples here, and this would be an interesting. This is falling apart here. This is 1945. This is 1950, and this is 1949. This is 1950. This is 1949. This is 1945. So you can kind of imagine how you could use it to compare different locations through the photographs. The tools, the automatic tools, are five of them. So it's I'm sorry, this presentation is falling apart a bit. but it says just annotation tools on top. There's video quality assessment, shot detection, camera motion detection, very interesting feature of object or concept recognition, and building recognition. Davey will get into that. And here, this is just a little graphic to show you the concepts behind visualizations that we can use. So basically, locating the films and the photographs on the map of the city. You could also browse through them using a timeline, or you can use it. You can access the films through a timeline map. So it's basically a map that changes with the times that you put in. So to show you where we're at right now, this is the website as it looks. If you pull it up, I'm gonna show this to you live. So this is basically just at this point just a descriptive website where you get information on the project, but I want to give you a look behind the scenes because that's much more interesting. So I hope this is going to work a little bit faster than the presentation on the war in Luxembourg. We're getting there. Where's the... So this is, what you're going to see is a beta, so it's still a development stage. Not everything is working yet, just as a comment in advance. So you see in total we have 800, close to 900 results right now, so this is films and photographs combined. You can use the search field to search for film descriptions and for annotated metadata. You can search here. You can also browse through different categories. So I could type in if I want films that feature cars, I can type in car, and it shows me some suggestions. I could also go through transport and vehicles and look for cars somewhere here. It has the filter mode for cities down here. You have the filter for the time span down here. I think what's most interesting is this would be the general view. You could switch that to the map view, and you have the cities that are taking part in my media cities, and I can zoom in here, and it's going to tell me that I have to select a city to make that more precise. I'm going to do that. So go to Bologna and update it. So you have the timeline view down here, which is at this point not connected to the city view here, but the city view should. There might be a problem with the internet. Oh, it was showing up just now. I'm obtaining it. So we give it in time.
So this is internal interface for only for.
This is only the internal development platform. But if you're interested, you can sign up on the website and register there to get early access and test the platform as it evolves. This is, I don't know why the the spots are not shown up here. They should just check just before the presentation. Because what you will usually get displayed is the graphic info. Oh, there you go. There we go. So you can hop in here and then click on the location icons, the markers, and you get films that are tied to this specific location. And there's a couple of films that show up here on Via Ubasi. You can zoom out again, and let's zoom in here. And you get all the films that are tied to this specific location. These informations have been annotated by the researchers, and I'm trying to find a film as a good example to go into detail on the Bologna Monumentale. Yeah, that's a good one. So this is a documentary from 1912. This should open in a sec. Again, we need to be patient. This is not the regular behavior of the platform. I suppose it's the internet connection. There we go. As we're waiting for the player to load, and it's probably not going to be playing without stutters. I can just go through the tabs here. So the general information would be the metadata that is delivered by the archives. This tab Notes is a featured tab for the researchers, so you can make notes on single individual shots. This one here, I hope it's loading at some point, allows you to manually tag on a shot level. So these tags would not be tags for the entire film, but you can really go into the specific shots and make tags there. Also, the automatic tools create the tags at the same spot. And with shots, you have a list of all the shots that are employed in the film, and it will also give you information on the camera movement. So that's some film-specific information that's created automatically. And here in the manual segmentation tab, you have the opportunity to manually select parts of the film that interest you most, and that you can work with. So you create start frames and end frames, and kind of make excerpts from the films for your research. It's a damn shame that this is still not loading. This is not useful. So I'm gonna just go through it anyways. Here you have the features to tag every shot, to tag the location. Here you can manually tag objects that are in the shot that interest you, and this is the field where you can add a note. Maybe, I don't know, it might be, I'm not sure if it's a good idea to reload that tab. I try anyways because we're not getting show you the player. That's thrown me out. Yeah, maybe that helps. Let's hope for the best. Maybe it is the platform. David, any ideas?
Just continue on.
Yeah, I think it's gonna take too much time. It's just not pulling up. I know. I'm very sorry about this.
You can register and just test
Yes.
it out yourself.
Yes,
It's
please
always
come.
easier that
Please
way.
come register and test it out for yourself, because it's already a really nice experience if it works. All right, so let's get back to the presentation, which. All right. Yeah, this is this platform I showed it to you. So since we have 1 year left, and we are about we just close to 50% of the content that we want to have on the platform, and also the descriptive and filmographic media that are coming from the archives. So within the next year, the rest is going to be uploaded, and the researchers from the partner institutions will start working with the content, and we plan the next beta release for June. This is going to be version 1.4, which actually does even look nicer. We also employ what we call living labs. So this is basically panels of experts from different fields that we're going to invite to work with the platform and test it in a testing group scenario. So we value their feedback as much as we value everyone's feedback who likes to register. So we'll wait for input on that. We're developing sustainability concepts to keep the platform running and stable, and also to incorporate other institutions if possible, and if people want to join. But the general project is going to be completed in spring 2019. So maybe if it might be a good idea, because the platform did not really respond, I can show you at least a little trailer that we made that gives you an overview of all the functions and sums up my presentation. So, and I hope this is going to be playing. yes, so maybe that it at least helped you to get an impression of what it's all about. And if you want to find out more, get in touch with us, register, try it out yourself, and spread the word. That's it. Thank you.